Hi, welcome to my video. I'm Jennifer Roberts. You're catching me on my YouTube channel, True Divine 44. You can also catch me on my Facebook page, True Divine, and it is The True Divine for both Instagram and Twitter, all one word. Any likes, shares, subscribes and follows are greatly appreciated, and thank you to everybody who does that thus far. Comments always are the main thing for me. I love to hear where you are on your journey or how these readings are helping you, or how you think I could incorporate more. So this is part of the daily energy readings that I put out. It's part of the free content that I put out to help support, guide and inspire those who want to be. Of course, it's general. They are general readings for many people, so who's ever years come across them, be discerning with your heart. Only take what really resonates with you in your heart. Don't try and bend a reading to your will, because it just doesn't work out best that way. You don't get what you're supposed to get from readings by doing so. And sometimes, more often than not, you can bring in the very things that make you the most anxious into your life that weren't yours to bring in or weren't yours to have, by just concentrating on them and manifesting them yourself. So be discerning regarding any reader, including me. This is for the day of the 26th. I got confused yesterday. I know one said the 26th when it was the 25th, but I'm reading on the 26th for the 26th of July. And again, another powerful shift in the energies, and for those who are ready, powerful realizations. So we've got the first card being this dependable father, this King of Pentacles. This Speaking of dependability, the father, the strong character who can organize, who can be decisive, who knows what he wants, knows how to get it, is the authority of abundance, physical abundance that is. He knows how to create it. He knows how to go and make it happen. He knows how to delegate. Of course, to clarify him, we get the Three of Pentacles, speaking about delegation, and this is teamwork. Collaboration of a few or many to get a project underway, to get something accomplished, to get something done. So depending where this resonates with you, if you are embodying the energy of the King of Pentacles, in that you are being looked upon and expected to be this fatherly figure, this divine masculine figure who can organize the troops, organize people in and put them in the roles that you know they will fulfill and be good at, to keep the team flowing, to keep it moving, to keep things progressing, to not lose sight of the goal, of the final goal, or whether you feel you resonate more as part of this team and you have somebody in your life who is depicted by this King of Pentacles. Find your place in that team and don't be afraid to take advice from this king if this king is in your life and offering you a place, a role. Sometimes this king can see roles that you will be good at, that you have maybe not seen or maybe not expected would be your place to do. So take that on board. Be built up by this king if the teamwork part of it resonates for you. He's good at being able to see what people are capable of, to being able to even see attributes that you maybe haven't discovered for yourself yet, or accepted for yourself yet. So look to this leader, look to this role that is offering you this support, this advice, and listen. Take the steps that you're guided to take by this King of Pentacles, because it won't do you wrong. The experience that you learn along the way, the things that you will unlock about your personality, about your capabilities, will be huge. Also, the fact that if you are part of this team, it feels good, it feels home, it feels like home, sorry, it feels like you can find your place working within this team, that you can actually not just make colleagues but friends that you can trust. And it's good to have a collective goal, especially when that goal is meant for good, whether it's a new product that you're making or planning or designing, or whether it's an artistic thing that you're doing. Whatever it is, the physical thing that this teamwork with this king at the helm is going to bring into the collective consciousness will be a good experience for you. So grab it with both hands, and again, be guided by this king to even attributes that he sees that you maybe haven't unlocked yet or experienced within self yet. Sometimes we need these keys, these lock pickers, like this king would be in a lot of people's lives today, um, to help us see past the limitations that we've put upon ourselves. Um, Also, the team itself can do that. That others sometimes can recognize things about you far easier than you can recognize about you. That's down to life itself, the limitations we put on ourselves, the labels and names that we take on board that others give us that seek to limit us. So it's good when this energy and this circumstance rolls into your life. Take it for all it's worth to unlock as much of you, as much more of you as you possibly can. The second card being Temperance, Major Arcana. So this is where we get to the basis of today, the crux of today, in that it's all about somehow the material, how your material reality is being reflected in your life right now. And it is all linking back, as always, to your inner grounds, your spiritual grounds, your spiritual work, your soul's journey. In that the true, because that's clarified by the ten of Pentacles, I should say. So this is the ultimate Pentacle card, where there is abundance, there's sustenance. You can maintain yourself in this 3D with all of the things, food, car, house, whatever it may be that you need for your lifestyle to be fulfilled in the 3D. You can maintain yourself and have a level of luxury within that. With this Ten of Pentacles, it's alignment in the material. And so we can only get there though, and this is where the Temperance card reminds us, when we are being balanced both spiritually and physically, when we are creating a balance between the two and acknowledging the absolute direct connection between the two, in that we can't maintain full alignment, because let's say for argument's sake, I can hear at least one person saying, well, how do you see all of these CEOs that maybe don't act in the best way towards others, or they're not the most benefic energies going, but yes, they have all of the luxury that they can possibly have. Well, then I would say to anybody who is saying that, or just questioning that legitimately so, to say that you don't see the window to their private life. Do you see that the Ten of Pentacles doesn't just represent the car, the house, the cars, the houses, the swimming pool, whatever it might be? It also represents the ability to enjoy that and to take a moment, and not to always have to strive for more, to the point where you can never actually even spend it, let alone enjoy it in one lifetime. But to be able to have the balance of the spiritual, to be able to, maybe if you could be a fly on their wall, to see that they don't find fulfillment because there isn't the balance. So yes, they might have all of the luxury that money can buy, or that power can gain, but do they have the connections with the friendships, the trustworthy friends, the soulmates in their lives that they can rely upon, that they can have fun with, that they can kick back with, that they can even argue and disagree with, but still have a meaningful relationship with at the end of the day? So when you're taking on board these readings, try not to read them too much for others, because you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. You don't know how lonely that person might feel, or the fact that they have nobody around them that they could truly trust, because they haven't acted maybe in a trustworthy way to get to where they are today in the material world. And so it's always to seek that balance for yourself, first and foremost. So with the Temperance card, it reminds us that there's a connection, that there's a direct connection to both spiritual balance and the physical world that we live in. the temperance card being the ultimate alchemist, turning the water into wine. You see how the two streams of 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 fluid there are crossing across the main body, the actual middle body of the temperance card itself, and it's the crossing of that the water into wine. The ability to transmute and transfuse energies. So say this was a negative energy that had been put upon you, the ability to go in within your inner grounds and having direct connection and balance in your spiritual self as well as your physical self, you can transmute that energy yourself and be that power generator that you need to make this, lesser into a greater for self, negative into positive, water into wine, and so something that feeds you and takes you forward. So the temperance card being here with the Ten of Pentacles keeps our ego in check and reminds us to do so. That it's great when we're on this gravy train of either being this King of Pentacles or being under this King of Pentacles in this team that we have with this Three of Pentacles. It feels great, it's good. But to always keep self-checking, always keep self-reflecting. The Temperance card reminds us to self-reflect and have self-control, in that we don't get too big for our boots just because the gravy train's coming home. That we have this money, this material um, mm, boss-like energy. This ego can be fed very easily, especially in the reality that we live in right now, with all of the consumerism and adverts and things like that, and the way you should look, the way you should dress. It's very easy if you get into that world of abundance to get lost in it. So the Temperance card reminds us to it's good to have a little bit of ego. We shouldn't strip ourselves bare of any aspect of self, but to keep that ego in check, because right now in the reality that we're living in, the ego is something that is honed in on from outside forces. It's honed in on, and it's fed and fed and fed, because the ego can ultimately be the best thing to derail somebody, in that if you feed that ego of that person, or that person allows that ego to be expanded, then they ultimately will crush themselves. You can take out competition that way, by befriending people, building up their ego, and then just watch them go. People will start to not want to be around them. People will start to not trust them. So you see that happening, and it's happened to all of us to some extent. And it is training grounds to learn how to keep that ego in check, to have a balance of the ego that can push us forward, strive us forward, to be like this King of Pentacles on our throne, in charge of our reality and how we live it, but also to never to start to go into what the King of Pentacles would be reversed, and that they would degrade others, make others feel lowly, when they're comparing themselves to them. So that's one thing that we've got from the Temperance card. For some people, they may be finding themselves coming into, or finding themselves in, a level of abundance again, maybe after a period of lack. It may be tempting to go back to old addictions, and the Temperance card reminds us that you have beaten this addiction and gotten it into balance. But did that only happen when, if we look at the bottom of the deck, the Five of Pentacles being in lack in the material reality, did you only manage to get that in check and in balance when you lost everything, when you actually didn't have the capacity quite so easily to get the monetary means that you needed to fulfill whatever addiction that might be? So to remind yourself that the test isn't quite over, in that if you have gotten yourself free of addictions during a period of lack, to maintain yourself and do a lot of self-reflecting and have a lot of self-control when you are in this material abundance again, because that's a huge temptation to go back to old ways that trapped you and limited you in addictions, again, whatever they might be. Um, Everything in moderation when we look at the temperance card. The temperance card has the ultimate patience too, in that this is not a sprint. It's an experience. It's a marathon. That things get thrown into the mix, and we have to see how we roll with them, and to keep the enjoyment within that experience. But to not look for your false gods again. In particular, if this resonates with you regarding addictions, I want to drill that home to make sure that you are aware of that now, so that when the test does come, which it might for some of you, that you're aware of it and you've already begun to embody this temperance card, this balance, this self-control, this patience, this knowing that you are free of those addictions for a reason, and you've been free of them for quite some time. So just because abundance is coming back into the picture, see that as the game's not over yet regarding addiction, that it's a continuous game, and it's something that you can overcome by going into your spiritual self and having that control and having that self-reflection, that capacity to self-reflect. You can maintain yourself with your abundance in the 3D without dropping back into the world of addictions that you previously came from. Um, Strategize, be like this King of Pentacles energy, that if you feel that is still a little bit too much of a test for you, you've got nothing to prove. You know, invest that abundance quickly so that it's tied up in things that will be fun to do, you know, keeping an eye on the markets, that will keep your mind busy, and you'll still feel that level of achievement, of that growth of the material, or you know, have those people around you that you trust in order to put money away with them, so that you make yourself accountable. There's different things that will work for you. I can't say everything for everybody, but there's different strategies. Think outside of the box, and think without ego regarding this issue. And think of ways that you can protect yourself. There's no reason you need to make any test harder than it needs to be. There's no reason for that at all. So the last card being the Two of Pentacles. So again, this being all about the material, linking back to having that balance between the material world and the etherical world, your spiritual world, your inner grounds. So the Two of Pentacles is recognizing this balance, this need to juggle two realities, this need to juggle two aspects of material life that need to be managed, that need to be maintained. So for some of you, again, going back to addictions, it might be that, you know, with this abundance comes invitations, comes socializing. Maybe it's old circles, you know, one in your company, one in your time, because you've reached that level of success again that they knew you from before. You know, manage that world very carefully. You know, why dance with the devil again when you've defeated it once, twice, thrice, however many times? um, Being clarified by the Chariot card, to me this then goes into the yin and the yang, the light and the dark, the high frequency, the low frequency. And for some reason, whether it is ego or whether it is that there's still some healing that still needs to be done, um, spiritual work regarding an old world that you came from, an old reality, um, the fact that you're still juggling it needs to be looked at. Because if you're feeling the need to juggle it, if you're feeling the need to maintain two completely separate realities in your one 3D life, then that's not sustainable. It's not healthy. It's not going to end well. So the Chariot is the major arcana that moves forward, pushes forward, and when the time's right, it goes, and it goes with gusto. Things move. And so you need to decide today no later today, you need to decide which of these worlds need to be let go of for good. Which of these realities for you need to be let go of for good. Otherwise, this major arcana is going to still go for it. This chariot, the energies are rolling, they're moving now. There needs to be a choice here. Otherwise, you can picture that these two beasts, these two beings, the yin and the yang, are going to pull in completely separate directions. What happens to your chariot then? It breaks in half. You're broken in some way, shape, or form. There's brokenness here. But with you being decisive and being discerning and choosing which reality you want to truly entrench yourself in, which two of these worlds that you're juggling and maintaining do you want to entrench yourself in, then the chariot card is able to acknowledge that, your spirit self is able to acknowledge that, and it's able to pull forward in the same direction without pulling apart the chariot or you. And so it's to be discerning about which worlds we want to be a part of. It may be a time in a lot of people's lives today where, this juggling can't continue. This juggling is no longer healthy and will end up derailing you in one way or the other. And it will happen fast. The chariot card is fast, it's moving, it's a chariot. So it's, when it moves. And so to not delay in making a decision as to which reality you're juggling. It might be the word spreading yourself too thin springs to mind, in that you're trying to exist as two different people in these two different material realities. You're trying to keep one foot in the grave, so to speak, that you've maybe let go of that world for good reason, and you've done a lot of growth, and it's brought you this now because you've done the inner work, the spiritual work. This reality around you, this abundance around you is showing up. But so is your old world. And so whatever that old world is for you, old relationships, um, old, friends that you used to be with when you were in your addiction, um, two different roles even in jobs, to be sometimes, especially when you're with this Five of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck, speaking about lack and not having, especially in the financial means, that there's this temptation to overdo and to have too many eggs in too many baskets, and so that you don't go full throttle on any of them, but you, because of this feeling of lack that's been left over from your past, in that you feel like you can't commit to just one thing in case you don't make it. It's that fear creeping in again. In case it doesn't work out, I need to have this on the back burner, or this on the, and right now that's not what's being called for. If this resonates with you today, it's to make a commitment in a reality that feeds you most, that gives you the most drive, the most passion, the most happiness in doing it. And so make that decision, be brave about doing it, and then your chariot can truly commit. And once you do that, you'll see yourself fly in that reality that you're making a choice on. What else? On the bottom of the other deck is the Ten of Pentacles. So this speaks again to that old world. That old world that caused you so many wounds, caused you so much upset and tearing of yourself, putting yourself, being torn. It speaks of, take the opportunity that's being given to the universe right now to actually, there's a new reality being shown to you. There's new options being shown to you. Why go back in any which way, shape or form to the old that didn't serve you, that didn't give you your greatest abundance, in the spiritual world or physical world. I'll just grab that card. Aye, aye, aye. Yes, so we've got the lovers, that yin and the yang on the top, divine feminine, divine masculine, and we've got the world. It's time to end that old world and truly commit to this new world that you've been building in your etherical realms, in your spiritual body, and it's finally reflecting in the physical reality around you. Trust it. You've done the work to get here. There needs to be an end to the old. There needs to be an end to the things that have been good, even if they weren't the most pleasant to go through, because ultimately, obviously, if this resonates with you, it's driven you to this temperance place, to this place of self-knowing, knowing thyself, self-control, healing, um, freedom from addictions, balance, alchemy, the ultimate alchemist. So to make this decision with the Lover's card, to be balanced. That's all about divine feminine, divine masculine balance within, and making a major decision. That major decision with this world card, is to say goodbye to that old world and truly commit with this chariot card to the new world that you've been trying to create. And anybody or anything that reflects in the old world, it might be hard, it might be difficult to make that major decision, but ultimately it is the right way to go forward if you want this abundance to last, if you want this abundance, the Fool on the bottom of the deck. It's time to really commit to this chariot with this Fool, to really commit to the world, the new world that you've been wanting, that you've been working to create for self. To understand that there is cycles, there is times to move forward and let go of the old. Taking the lessons that you've learned there, with the bottom of the deck being the Ten of Swords, taking the lessons that you've learned there and keeping those, but letting go of all of the other bumps that comes with it, the reality of it, the people of it, the things of it. Um, you know, I spoke to a homeless man. I speak to homeless people all the time. I'm a talker. But when I was working as a dancer, obviously you came across a lot of homeless people, especially when the club was shut in, early hours of the morning, and I couldn't help but stop and chat. Um, and there was this one person who'd been a professor, and sorry, this bike's going on in the background. He'd been a professor. He'd had the big house in Jesmond, which is a lovely area where I live. I don't live there, but very close by. It's a treed area, very, very, high wage. It had it all seemingly. He had the family. He had all of that. Um, and he made himself homeless. And he still had family that was still willing to take him in. But they expected of him to continue to do things that didn't feed him, to be the professor, to be, and for whatever reason, it was easier for him to shut that all down. And he'd gained spiritual truth on the streets. In that harsh reality, he'd gained some grit regarding what he wanted to do. Now, yes, I could see from looking and talking to him that there was a heck of a lot of healing still needed to go on there, and understanding that he didn't have to have such a harsh reality in order to have spiritual wholeness, but he wasn't quite there in his healing yet. So it was fair enough that he knew he needed that harsh reality. But there's somebody at the door. So I'll quickly round that up in that he wasn't afraid to take that chance. What's the worst that can happen? You go forward in a different way to have a new experience. And I'm not saying anything as extreme as to make yourself homeless, but to strip away anything that doesn't serve you. With this man, there was alcoholism, and so I think that abundant life, the dinner parties, the fake friends, it just got to him to a point of where he couldn't take it anymore. So don't get to that point of where you can't take it anymore, that you have to give yourself such a harsh reality to get any spiritual awareness. You've done the work here to create a new world, an opening door to a new world, to a new abundance. Don't slip back into an old world that you've learned all you can learn from. Much love. If you would like a private reading, get in touch with me. Any spiritual guidance, get in touch with me. Any energy work, get in touch with me with any of the details below. Be balanced and be whole. Mwah.